In today's episode, we're speaking to Natasha Zhao. Natasha is a former journalist from Siberia turned international media relations specialist and a freelance writer. Known for her connector skills, she guided a number of authors from Amazon bestseller status, booked national TV, top tier media, and over 400 podcast interviews. Leading up to this, she lived in three different continents, volunteered in Central America, and managed a high performing marketing team in Asia. Taught public speaking to teenagers. She's an aspiring freelance writer, motivated by telling the stories of her health, wellness leaders, and inspiring conscious entrepreneurs. Let's speak to Natasha and find out how she changed her life by changing her mindset. Let's find out. Welcome, welcome. This is Gull, your money mindset expert. And today I'm so excited. We have the amazing, the beautiful, the charming Natasha Zhao. Welcome, Natasha.
Hey, Gull, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to just get your energy. Like you're here to get going, so am I.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Natasha, everyone's heard your intro. They know how fabulous you are, but please, in your own words, tell everybody what it is that you do.
Well, I help people to break out of their visibility ceiling and to get known on the next level, whether it is going to be booked in a magazine, on a podcast of their dreams, to be booked on a magazine covers on national TV, or simply identifying the message so just it lands clearly with their audience. Visibility for personal growth, solopreneurs, coaches. This is my thing.
Fabulous, fabulous. Right up my alley, because then I think we need to have a separate chat conversation about this anyway. So tell us, Natasha, how did you come into this field? It's not a well-known, industry. It's a very niche industry for a very niche audience. What was your journey like? Talk us through your journey and how did you end up doing this? And I know that you live in Ibiza too, which is a party home. We were discussing this off camera. So how does a girl who's, start this business and, who's living in that, in a place like where everyone comes to party? Talk us through.
Right. There's a lot of bits to the journey, but the big thing to it is discovering a passion. And I think you're very right to note that the industry, the niche that I'm in, is really new because
Yeah.
I think it kind of the way what I do is I serve the expert economy, and the
Yes.
expert economy in
It's
a
very
way
new.
is, some would say 20, 30 years old, but, kind of coming into the mass market is maybe 10, 15 years old and
Yeah.
so on. And I've been in this industry for, I'd say 12, 13 years, first as an employee and then as an agency owner, as an entrepreneur myself. So there's been a journey. But the beginning of the journey was the passion that's kind of stayed within from very young age until now. And this is about telling stories, and this is
Yes.
about sharing the things that excite me. So the way it looked when I was, let's say, 10, 15 years old is I was like, okay, I'm going to be a journalist. Actually, the first thing I wanted to be was not a journalist. The first thing, when you study history, you study how they are the scribes who like sit down at maybe in a monastery and they like write down the story of the great king who conquered the next kingdom. Oh, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a scribe at like 7 years.
Historian,
At
basically.
yeah, at 7 years old. And I'm like, okay, so how do I do it? Because, I didn't really wait to get started. I'm like, okay, how do I do it? I got a notebook and I'm like, okay, I got a notebook, I got a pen. So what do I do now? Next thing is to get some stories to write. Where do I get a story? Let's turn on TV. Okay, so I sit in front of TV, I'm watching news, and I'm like, okay, I'm 7 years old, but it's hitting me that I'm not going to be the first source of information when they discover my notebook hundreds of years from now. Like the TV is the first source, the
Yeah.
media nowadays is the first source. So I was like, okay,
Things have
this
moved along.
idea.
Things have moved on a little bit since since we had those pyramids, by the way. So just a little bit.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, yeah, scrap this idea. I'm gonna be a journalist. So I knew that I was gonna be a journalist at the age of maybe 14. At the age of 15, I found the first place that was like running a programs for teenager, but they also allowed us to publish. We had like our own newspaper with a circulation on the city level. So
Wow.
you
Okay.
got to really feel it. you got to really test the grounds really early on. I got paid for that as well.
Oh
It was,
wow.
it was not near any serious money, but
But it was still
I
you're remunerated for it, so that's your first salary.
yeah, I felt really empowered because like I'm making money. I'm making money by the, by my choice, by the profession that I chose. I'm not like, do being a cashier in a supermarket like all people at 15 years old or whatever, serving
Yeah.
tables. I'm already following my passion. I'm doing what I want, and I'm getting to know how the work is done. But then there was the other side to it, the fact that I got into the profession really early, and that means that I got to see all the downside of it also really early. So by the
Mm.
time that we can get more into it, but by the time when people just graduate from university at like age of 21, I had 5 years experience in media. And I'm speaking like full on. I was in a newsroom. I had to, like, I was a full-time journalist. I had to deliver a certain amount of pages every week while studying. This is kind of an easy career to follow through while you're studying, to combine it with your studies. And I've seen all the downsides. And by the age when people get their first job, normally, I was already deeply, deeply disappointed in the world of media.
Oh
Even on like
wow.
yeah, there is of course, like with my experience with knowing what I know now, I'm like, okay, obvious, the industry is flawed, the media is a
100%.
mess,
100%, yeah.
yeah. But at that time it was the whole journey of discovering it. And I was also going to university for journalism and mass communication, and I heard one thing be taught of us by our professors, who, by the way, never worked, a job in a newsroom,
Of course,
most of them.
yeah, a lot of them don't. A lot of the teachers haven't been in the actual
Right?
industry.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, this is not the only industry where it happens,
Mm.
right? Like,
Happens
I'm
a lot.
sure, yeah, you've seen it as well. And I heard one thing being taught by a professor, saying things like, journalism, it's all about ethics, it's all about, keeping up and like, upholding the morals, da, da, da. And I seem like a complete mess happening on the other side.
Yeah,
And
there
like,
is no ethics and journalism. So I've seen that
I
side as
was
well. There
not
is.
even on yeah, and I was not even on like, any like serious like big scale publication. I was in a newspaper for my city. My city is where I grew up. It's pretty because like a couple of million people, but still, maybe we had a circulation of 60 to 80,000 copies or something like this. And even on that scale, I've seen a lot of mess. I've seen advertisers coming in saying, that's what we want you to write about us. And editors being like, okay, that's how much it's going to cost. And then no, it's never going to come out and print that this is a paid article. I've seen, of course, I had colleagues in the media world, a lot of them. I've seen people taking part in those little media wars, right? When like one company, one corporate brand is fighting another corporate brand, and each selecting different medias to pay for their placement, and then people have no idea that it's happening on the background. It looks like, oh, there's a big investigation on this company and they are being unfair. Oh no, now there's a big investigation on their competitor and it's a complete mess. And people just being led through it, and people completely, it's impossible not to influence the opinion, like, printing the words on paper, speaking the words on the TV, speaking the words on a podcast, right? You influence minds. And
Absolutely.
even if you spend 100% of your entire day not sleeping, not eating, just trying to source the best possible information, you are still going to influence minds, and you're still going to create the perception of a reality just by selecting what you choose to report on and what you choose to leave out.
Yeah.
Even if you're
The
not
source
like
you
some
select
of,
and the source you select. So
of
there's
course.
unconscious bias we are all endowed with. It is what it is. We all have that unconscious bias. It's where we've grown up. It's where it is, and that leads you to choose certain sources and prefer certain sources, prefer certain versions, and so forth. And there's going to be if you influence that with money and corruption and bribery and friendships and favors, you can see how quickly the water gets mucky, and there is no such thing as a true honest journalism then.
Yeah, sensationalism,
Yeah,
another thing,
it is.
right?
I think sensationalism sells, even if it's on
Yeah.
social media, if it's
Oh, it
on
does.
everywhere. But okay, so that we can see what that happened. So what happened after that? What did you do after that? So you left it that and did what?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I was like, okay, at 21, I'm disappointed at it. I cannot possibly deal with this world. This is, yeah, I just felt really conflicted because that's not what
Yeah.
I intended to do. That's not what I came there to do. And I felt also really small, I felt like
What
this
difference can you make?
world, yeah, this profession, this world, like that's how it is. This is huge and this is humongous, and there is not much you can do as a one person, even if you do literally your best, gave up your life to report the best possible sources and find the best possible information 24/7, not sleeping and not eating. Like, what can you do being there? So 21 years old, I decided to go and search elsewhere. So there was a lot of soul and self searching around the world. I gone volunteering. I did some volunteering work in Eastern Europe. I went to South America, Central America, actually, Costa Rica.
Mm.
I volunteered there, and then I ended up in a company called Mind Valley. But okay,
I
couple
know
years
Mind Valley. Yes,
volunteering.
I know Mind Valley.
Yeah, it was a time to get a real job. So so I got a real job in Malaysia, out of all places, and like a very colorful, beautiful office in a capital city, Kuala Lumpur. And the company focuses largely on personal development
Personal
and
development courses.
working
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
on authors or selling courses on meditation, yoga, qigong,
Yeah.
personal finance, like all the world of bettering yourself, and that really resonated with me, and that helped me to kind of find the other way on, like, still working with telling stories and still working with sharing the ideas that I believe in, but but kind of stepping away from the world of traditional media.
Mm. So you were in that employment for how long? 2 years, 3 years?
I think did like a good 4 or 5 years with my Valley.
And then
Yeah.
what made you leave Mind Valley then?
I think I was always entrepreneurial.
Yeah,
Even the
I'm gonna stop you there for a second. I think entrepreneurs are born rather than actually
mhm,
developed. It could be that those are latent skills and you don't know about it, but I think entrepreneurs have a different character. They're almost like a square trying to fit in a circle, and they always feel out of place and squashed
mhm,
up and whatever. And then you can't you just and they make I mean they can work very hard, but and they may even make good employees for a few years, but they don't make good employees long term because they get itchy feet and they're like, I'm getting
restless.
bored. Yeah, they get restless and they're like, I need to do something different. I need to do something more. I need more challenge. So I'm not surprised that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, Gul, that I grew up and I was raised in the post-Soviet Russia.
Mm,
And entrepreneurship is very looked down upon. I think as the
yeah.
money-making expert, that would be
Mm,
something really interesting for you. Is first of all, in the Soviet Union, the entrepreneurship and earning money as an individual, it was illegal. It
yeah.
was
It was yeah, yeah,
punishable criminal offense. So
yeah.
imagine being born to this culture. Imagine
Mm,
that, everyone who surrounds you is like, it's considered, if you are making money and if you're making it for yourself, it's not like in a Western culture, it's not celebrated.
yeah.
Kids don't do lemonade stands.
Mm,
It's in the 90s, the kind of the entrepreneur was pretty much a swear word,
mm,
because those people kind of in the early post-Soviet times, those people kind of jumped quickly on the money-making opportunities. There were a lot of dirty business there. There was a lot of, like, pretty much like mafia style crime. So kind of to realize that I am an entrepreneur and there is that in me, it's been a huge journey as well. And I think being in an entrepreneurial environment, being in an environment surrounded by people who are of an entrepreneurial mindset, it like slowly got me see that, okay, yeah, that feels really natural for me. That's something that I can do. So I didn't have a lemonade stand, or I didn't do a car wash business like lots of kids. And I had no idea. I had no idea that this is a way to function in the world. I didn't particularly see that it's a very dirty or or criminal per se, but I didn't aspire to be an entrepreneur. I didn't have a single example around me of someone who's an entrepreneur.
I'm just thinking that if that's the case, if you grow up in an environment where entrepreneurship, making money is a criminal offense, let alone being looked down upon, it's a next level up if it becomes a criminal offense.
Yeah.
Then to take that plunge of going from being an employee to an entrepreneur, it would even be even harder. I mean, I went from an employee to an entrepreneur, but it was a very natural progression. And even though I saw all the blocks and mental mindset issues that I had to work through, I didn't have to overcome this psychological barrier, like, oh my God, I'm going to be put into prison if even if it wasn't no longer the rule, subconsciously you would have that fear. So even if it's not, so obviously the rules have changed and things have changed a lot. I understand that. But it will still be in the back of your mind, and your subconscious mind will still be trying to protect you, and therefore would create self-sabotage, so to speak, situations where you are not allowing yourself to prosper as an entrepreneur. Did you find that to be the case in your life?
So, not necessarily. Like I think there are the programs and the self-sabotage, not necessarily in the application of being entrepreneur, but in the case of like making money, charging for your service,
Well,
charging
it comes in that form. So it doesn't necessarily come,
yeah,
it doesn't stop you from
yeah,
doing the business. It just means that when you do business, you're not as successful, and financially you keep, stabbing yourself in the feet, and you keep,
probably.
money comes in, money goes out, and the more money goes out than it comes in. And
Yeah.
it's your subconscious mind way of keeping you safe. So it's not doing
I
it
think I'm
to
at
hurt
the
you.
point of like I'm very aware of the programs and
Mm,
being like I'm lucky enough or blessed enough or really put the work enough to to have my business for 7 years,
mm.
growing consistently, growing, never really having to borrow money or get an investment. However, yeah, I think I'm at the point when I'm like aware that there are big ancestral things that I'm dealing with. There are big programs that I'm
Which
dealing
won't
with,
allow money to
and
stay. Money will
yeah,
come, because if
yeah,
you provide
yeah,
a good enough service, money will come, but money will not
yeah,
feel comfortable with you. Money will not feel
yes,
safe in your energy, so money will leave. So
yeah,
you think money
yeah.
comes, money goes. Where is it going?
I love paying people. I love paying for services. I like, I love my team. I love to, make or give raises. I like to give a support. I'm like, oh my God, this person is so good. Like my team stayed with me for 4 or 5 years. So we have a really good relationship. And I'm like, okay, I love giving money. There is definitely you got to try it.
So tell me things. So what was the biggest challenge for you when you left your Mind Valley? Did you leave Mind Valley to go to become an entrepreneur, or was it something in between before that?
So there was a bit of a testing period. I did not know what was going to be the calling, and
Mm.
that we can jump back to, I have this, I would say, natural passion, natural gift for telling stories and for communication, and it also took time to recognize this as a gift
Yes.
because you know what? I just say words. This is my talent. Everyone on earth knows to say words. It took me a while to understand that the way I operate with language and semantics and etc. and putting the essence of someone's work into one page or one sentence etc. is different from everyone else. I operated for very long time with the belief that come on, this is not a actual skill. Everyone can write a couple sentences. Literally, like we all go to school, we all learn to compose sentences. Those people who are programmers, now that's a real skill.
Mm.
The developers, you can create a website, you can program a software, hardware. That's a real
Because
skill.
what you did came so easily to you. That's a very. I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of people
Yeah,
listening to this would are in a similar boat where, well, doesn't everyone know how to do this? No. Isn't everyone good at this? No. Just because something comes easy to you doesn't necessarily mean it becomes easy to everyone else. And because
exactly.
it comes easy to you, you don't value it. Like, everyone's easy. It's easy for everyone. No, it's not. It could be a simple skill like being, good at makeup, good at writing, good at writing short stories. And even that,
Yeah,
writing short stories compared to romantic novels, to personal development, literature, to I don't know,
Yeah.
historical, romances or something.
Hmm.
Even within writing, I just laid out my three, four different genres.
Yeah.
Even that is a different skill set. It doesn't come naturally to
Yes.
every single person. Just because you can write doesn't mean you can write everything. It has to be what
Yes.
naturally comes to you. It's
Yes.
your natural talent. But if it comes to you naturally, it's easy for you. It doesn't mean it's an easy, and it's a skill set that everyone possesses. This is a point that I really want to stress, because there's a lot of people here who do many amazing things and think, well, everyone's good at that. No, those are your special talents that God has given to you.
And I'll tell you what, Gull, I think I would never discover that. I would never start seeing that as a special set of skills unless I've given myself a permission to give it a try. Because the only way I start seeing it as a skill is by interacting with the client, by finding people who wanted support,
Mm.
talking to them, sitting there with them on the call or doing some work for them and being like, that's obvious, no? And then seeing the response and understanding that there are like, recently someone paid me a few thousand dollars for a consultation of like 30, 40 minutes. She just needed to get her story right. Literally, we knew each other for a while. There was a trust created there. We sat together for 40 minutes. She's like, Natasha, they need me to stand. I'm speaking at a very big conference. I needed to sound right. This is the audience. This is my pieces. You know my story. Da, da, da. Let's hack it together. I wrote something. It didn't go together. We got on a 40 minutes call to do. We put it together in there in 40 minutes. So there I saw the value of the skill, of how quick I could put it together, of how quick I can grab the essence and so on. And that was like amazing demonstration, but it would never have happened unless I've given myself a permission to give it a try, to first start asking for, of course, obviously at first I was comfortable with asking very little for that and seeing a response, seeing that, okay, it lands obviously to me. It doesn't land obvious to them. Okay, people find value in it actually. Whatever they're paying to me, even I don't see it as something that's worth charging for, they see it. Okay, what if I ask for more? Okay, maybe I can take more people, da, 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 and so on. So that was a great moment of there of allowing myself to offer it up as a service. And you asked something. You asked it. Was it something in between the Mind Valley and my starting my agency? I did a whole period of career testing. I was like, I don't know. It's something that I came up with.
Mm.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what is this intersection between passion versus a skill that I can turn into a business versus a skill that I can sustainably go on and wake up and be excited about doing every day. So like, okay, I have some clients that would they pretty much sustain me as a marketing consultant. I took some clients as a marketing consultant, and that would sustain me. That was my cash flow coming in, and I'm like, at the rest of the time, I allow myself to experiment with whatever I think might be my next career step. I experimented with event curating and community building. That was amazing, but it didn't look as a sustainable career. I experimented with doing art, which is something I'm also really passionate about. I'm passionate about doing art on weekends, but not
No, I don't.
every day. Yeah, not this everyday thing. I've experimented with different sides of marketing. Okay, this is something that I can do, but not necessarily something that I'm most passionate about. And then I came around this couple, and I was really inspired about their stories. I'm like, I can think of like 5 different ways that we can tell your story that is gonna get a good traction. I can find the magazines, I can find the people who would share the story, and that was my first PR gig, I guess. We wrote the story, which got like we just did one magazine and it got like 30,000 views and a few thousand shares on just that one piece that we published, and it was amazing, and it was a really great response from them, and I'm like, okay, I actually can see myself doing it again. So eventually I gave up all the side gigs, all the consulting gigs, and I'm like, okay, now I can dedicate myself to this, and I haven't gotten bored of it in the last 7 years.
So I'm going to stop here for a second again and highlight what you did fantastically, right? So a lot of the times we hear this, oh, do what you're passionate in, create, make money, monetize your passion, and so forth. But you're exactly right. What is my passion? So we're passionate about a number of things. You're passionate about art. You're passionate about,
Lots
event
of them.
decoration. So many different things.
Events,
And
yeah.
it's finding out what you're passionate about and what you can realistically monetize. And there's so many things you're good at that you can definitely monetize, but you have to find out one that can stick and one that you are so passionate about that you can actually convert into monetization, so you can convert into money.
Yeah.
And I think this is very, I think this is very, very important for people to realize, because you don't have to monetize all your passions. You just have to focus on the one which is most realistic. And I'm giving an example for myself. Like I love singing, and I'm a half decent singer, and I'm half decent for Bollywood. But I could never ever be a professional singer, and I don't see myself singing on stages for professionally. Maybe wedding singer or something like this for my family or something. I can see myself doing it, but I'm really passionate about it, and it's my happy space. I love doing it. But tell me to do it professionally, and I'd be like, well, no, because it's not geared towards for me, it's not the realistic path for me to monetize. Whereas speaking, yes, I can speak all day long, and I can monetize that in different ways, and I have through my podcast, through my with my coaching, and through even when I go with my business as well. I'm basically the speaker. I'm usually the one who's negotiating things, so I can monetize that. So I think this is very important to highlight about your story, that you tested.
And that you can monetize sustainably. I have a whole article on this. I wrote
I think it's very important.
Article.
But I want to congratulate you, the fact that you gave us a space and time to test out different things. You didn't give up. You didn't start one thing, like, oh, this never works. You can, all these gurus are wrong. You can't just work. You tried one thing, you tried another thing, and some of them you tried simultaneously, see what would actually continue working. So you called it experiment. And that's exactly what you need to do. Experiment with your passions, with your life, to see, okay, what do I enjoy doing? What do I like to do? And what can I monetize to make it as a source of income? And I think you've done brilliantly well. So congratulations on that. But that takes time and patience. But I'm glad you did
that was an amazing period in my life. I wrote an article in Entrepreneur magazine about that, like career testing, split testing my career and seeing what lands. I'm pretty happy with the result where it got.
It sounds amazing. So if you wrap this up, if you want to give some closing comments for people who are thinking of changing careers, or thinking of, well, I think I'm a true entrepreneur at heart, but I don't know where to start, and who isn't familiar with what their passion is, or if they're good at something, isn't everyone good at it? Because that's normally the thing. I'm good at this. Isn't everyone good at this? So that kind of thing. What do you think what would be the best advice for that individual?
So I think we touched upon that a little bit. You said that entrepreneurs are born, and so are the passions, right? Passions are there. I have a daughter who is like 1.5 right now. I can already see the things that, like, I can already see that music is going to be huge for her. Who knows what's going to be the careers in 20 years from now in the music industry, how it's going to change and evolve in technology, but I can already see it. So I really believe that this entrepreneurial spirit, if you have the itch, it is worth trying some format, and your passions. If you have an itch for something, it is worth giving it a try. It's not necessarily going to be your final format of how this business is going to look like. But I believe that just entrepreneurial spirit and the passion, it's something that you already got. So the best piece of advice would be find a space to give yourself permission to give it a real try. And again, in my example, doing art on weekends, it's maybe not a real try. Like, I gave myself time to think of, like, okay, so if I were to monetize it as a career, how would I actually sell it? Like, would I do the interior art paintings, like the one in your home behind? That's what people sell, right? People sell the art for interiors. Like, I research a little bit on, like, what would it look like as a business? What would be a product? What would be a business model? What are the business models out there? Sometimes my research just looks like going on social media and exploring on what are are the people doing in this industry, and then giving myself a try. Okay, let's try to make this piece of painting and see if I, if I can sell it. Okay, I never finished the piece of painting. That doesn't mean that I'm failed as an entrepreneur, but maybe I just didn't find the format yet, right? There's so many ways today, or in the expert economy, of creating, of being a creator yourself. So it can be a little bit, complicated. Because in the medieval times, right, you're a carpenter, your grandpa was a carpenter, your father was a carpenter, so everyone, so your path is predefined. The difficulty here is you have to define your own path, you have to define your own format, you have to invent it. So for that, you gotta give yourself a real try.
And I think you're right. You need to give yourself space and time to actually really work out what's my
Mm-hmm.
passion and what's the product, what could I sell, what's the business model. I think that's perfectly said, and I think that's a missing link from a lot of people. And I think if somebody can go away with learning one thing from this episode, it'd be that give yourself the space and time to understand what your passion is, what you can use to sell it in terms of the product, the end product from that talent,
Yep.
and what would be the business model. All these things need to be at least clear in your head and maybe on better on pen and paper, and then you can give it a proper career testing, as you call it, which is wonderful. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. Natasha, it's been fantastic talking to you. Tell us, Natasha, how can we connect with you? Where can we find you on the internet?
Okay, I'm an Instagram junkie at this period of my life, so I talk to everyone who comes to my Instagram, Natasha Zoll _. That's my Instagram profile. This is also my place where I'm currently creating. Current passion is about making the short videos. I'm really excited about experimenting with that platform. So come say hi on Instagram.
Wonderful. So if you are listening to us on the podcast, the link for Natasha and plus her other social media links will be in the show notes. And if you're watching us on YouTube, then down below in the description section, we'll have the links for her as well. Go check her out and see how she can help you become more visible. Well, thank you so much for today, Natasha. It's been absolutely fantastic talking to you. We will have to have you back for Money Talkies, but today, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was amazing talking to you today, Gull.
Thank you. And thank you for listening to me, Natasha, today. I will be back with another amazing guest, finding out how they change their life by changing their mindset. Until the next time we meet, this is Gull signing off. Take care and bye for now.